and I run out of gas. They're like, oh, well, we didn't get any gas. Did you guys not see the fucking sign in the middle of the desert? And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to die out here.
Dustin Porter,
What's going on, man?
how you doing, buddy?
Doing real well.
Good. This isn't the second time we're recording this because because I
It
might
is
have.
not. This is definitely authentically the first time.
I didn't fuck up the sound the first time. Luckily, the first time was pretty fun. So
It was a blast, man. I had a great
yeah, man,
time.
definitely. So, man, you're actually looking a little bit quieter in the shop compared to last time. Have you got some stuff out?
Yeah, that Triumph. I mean, most of the stuff I've gotten some things done. It's just moved to the front right now. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that Triumph that was on the lift here, that's just over there. I got to ride it down the road. We've had like 4 or 5 days of just rain, so I haven't been able to take it down the road, test it out. So
Gross.
hopefully today we have a nice day. So I'm gonna jump on there, ride it down the road. Everything's good to go, and then that can be out of here.
Awesome, man. Right. So, for everyone watching, take us back to the start. Tell everyone a bit about yourself. How did you? So you build full time, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I opened the shop. I bought this place in 2017, and then it was probably 20. It was right at the start of COVID. Right at the start of COVID, I got let go from my welding job and just decided to start doing this full time. Um, but yeah, I've been building bikes. I'd been building bikes prior to that. I've been doing it for like 10, 12 years at that point, just kind of doing stuff for my friends and building my own stuff. I wasn't necessarily taking money for any of that stuff. But it just kind of snowballed into, people, word of mouth got out that I work on bikes, and then people started bringing me stuff. And when my welding shop job let go, I figured this was the best step.
That seems to be a lot of guys like start is welding. Like a lot of the guys I speak to, they were welders, but then it gets to a point where they can't do that monotonous kind of line duty kind of thing, and then they move into something more creative.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Doing starting with welding is probably the easiest way to get into building choppers because welding is obviously the hardest part of building choppers. Like it's one of those skills that just kind of takes a lot of time to get good at. Um, so if you can start there, you're 3/4 of the way there. Can you hang on one second? I'm sorry, man. I'm right in the middle of an interview, so I have to get back. Every time, man.
It's all
It
good.
never fails, dude. Like
I'll
nobody will
edit
show up here for like months, and then the one time that nobody can be here, somebody's like, "Hey, I got a question."
it.
So
Go on.
anyway, yeah, welding. Yeah, it's like welding is just one of those fucking skills that once you understand how to do that, the rest of it is kind of easier. I don't want to say it's like way easier, but welding is just one of those things that takes time. You have
It's
to
it's a good
you have to
foundation to
practice
have.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have like if you're not doing it all day every day, it's hard to get good at.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
starting off there where somebody's paying, not only are you getting practice every day, but somebody's paying you to do it, that's a great
yeah, of
start.
course. And I mean, I saw that fucking the case that you finished recent that you fixed recently.
Yeah, the sporty case.
What the fuck? That
What?
was that was like magic.
Oh, dude.
It was
Dude,
so
that's
clean.
well, thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did a
man.
lot. Well, I started so my welding gig, dude. Let me tell you about how I got into welding.
Yeah, man.
So I just I had been building choppers for um like 5 years, but I didn't know how to weld. Like I was just kind of putting them together. I had to buy bolt-on parts. And then one I was working for a college at the time, coaching college wrestling, and they had a program. It was like part of your benefits where you could take free classes.
Cool.
at a community college down the road. And one of those classes was like a welding class. So I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. So I sign up, I do all that, I go through it, and I can't afford a TIG welder. I'm not like I studied TIG welding while I was there, but I couldn't afford a TIG welder, so I bought a MIG, and I had been MIGing for like 5 years at this point, right?
Right.
Still not very good at it, and a job opened up, and I was like, I was kind of getting like I wasn't getting paid very much at the college wrestling job, so I was like, I'm gonna get a welding job, make some fucking money. I applied. I told them that I knew like how to weld TIG, and I did know how to weld TIG. Like I did it pretty well. But I was like, like I go in, they give me a weld test. I do okay on the weld test.
Okay, cool.
And dude, our when I was doing the classes, we spent maybe 2 days doing aluminum welding. So I had like zero experience doing aluminum welding. And I get there and they're like, hey, we're going to put you right into we're going to put you into this production style aluminum welding gig. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm not that great at aluminum. Like, that's not my thing, dude. For 6 solid months, I didn't put out a single good part. Like, for 6 months, they were just training me, like, how to do this because nobody wanted to do the job. Like, they had hired people with experience, people with little experience. And then finally, they were just like, okay, we're going to train you and you're going to do this. I was like, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, man.
So that's how I got into welding. But and then I was doing that all day, every day for 3 years. And that's how I really got good at welding aluminum stuff. Like that stuff, that Sportster stuff, that's nothing. I did a panhead. If you go back through my videos, I've got a guy who's got an all original 40, I think it's a 48 panhead, and it's all numbers matching shit. He wants to keep it all original.
Yeah.
But somebody had machined the valve guide or the valve seats out way too big. Like,
oh shit,
they put car valve seats in it. So there was like no room. So there was no room to go bigger. They were all fucked up. So I ended up pulling those out and I re-welded all those up, and I had to like redo the combustion chamber, remachine all the valve seats. Welding up a combustion chamber is no joke.
Yeah,
the spark plug hole. I had to redo all the
how?
I had to redo the holes for the valve guides. Dude, it was a long process.
How? How the fuck do you do that? It's similar to the other thing, like just taking pieces from.
No, that was all weld buildup. So you just keep laying weld in there. You fill it up more than you need, and then you go back and machine it out, And honestly, like the hardest part, like the welding was kind of the easy part. I'm not very skilled. I'm not a super skilled machinist. I understand how that stuff works, but I'm not great at it. So, getting all the setups right for doing the machining was really the hardest part for me. But yeah, welding aluminum is just all about patience, man. It's like you fucking weld it, and especially with casts, because the first 2 or 3 passes on a cast aluminum anything are going to be so dirty, and you're just going to get your weld is going to look like shit, and you have to go back and grind it all out until you get a nice looking weld, and then you can start building. Then it's pretty quick after that.
Right. Shit. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's a great skill to have. And honestly, welding aluminum, working with aluminum is probably my favorite material. I love doing that stuff because it machines easy.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to go back. Like if you fuck something up if you over machine something, you can go back in, add more material, and then grind it back out. The worst part about it is sanding discs and grinding discs, dude. They load up, and you can't. I've said this on my TikTok before. I hate sanding aluminum because the discs weld up, and everybody's they build up, and then you can put wax and stuff on them to keep that shit from happening.
Yeah.
But if you put wax on it and then grind it, it's all over the aluminum, and now it's going to weld like shit again. So you just you can't do it.
Shit.
Yeah. So you just have to deal with it. I use a lot of Scotch-Brite pads.
Shit. That's the fucking patience of a saint.
dude.
That's
It's
crazy. I
welding
did,
aluminum is
yeah,
patience, you
that's
know?
crazy. That's like, and most people would just throw it out. Most people would
Yeah.
just go, it's fucked. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah, dude.
crazy.
And I'm super, I love
I don't
keeping
even
that
know
old
where
shit
to
alive.
go with that conversation because I've never, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it is crazy. And like nobody does it because it's not cost effective. Like you
Yeah.
could definitely go out and get a new set of heads or buy
Yeah.
like an old set of heads. But at the same time, if you want to keep your shit numbers matching,
Yeah, of
you got to
course.
find that guy. So I have one of those skills. It doesn't always come in as useful as you think it would, but
Yeah.
I can do it.
That's
So
fucking cool.
yeah,
So what are you working on at the moment?
Kawasaki Vulcan and a show bike. Like I'm working on my brother's chopper.
Cool.
It's a it used to be an iron head. It was like a real low digger style iron head, and the iron head just kept giving us problems. Like it just had problem after problem after problem. So you
Yep.
could never ride it. So we pulled it out, and we're slapping a CB750 motor in there,
Cool.
and I'm going to build him a front end for it, and then it's going to be in Fuel Cleveland this year.
Oh, sick.
That'll be fun.
Tell us about your CB that you built.
Oh man, I
I love that thing.
do you,
Yeah, I really do. Yeah, I
dude?
fucking love it.
I found I found that paint. Like all the paint that's on it is like old 70s paint. It
Yeah.
was like a kit bike. I don't know if you know this or not, but like back in the I want to say 70s and 80s, Santee was making kit bikes. You
Right.
could buy a painted frame, and you like it was like the frame. Let me think. The frame, the oil tank, and the gas tank, and it was all painted and ready to go. And then you just took your stock CB750 and you swapped over the motor, the swing arm, the rear tire, the front tire, and the front end.
That's cool as
Right?
fuck.
Yeah. And
Shit.
then you had a custom chopper and you didn't have to do paint, you didn't have to do fabrication, nothing. Like you just put your shit in
Shit.
there. So I found one of those bikes,
Yeah.
and it was all painted the way that it is, and
All
I
original?
drove. Yeah, yeah, original paint
Sick.
as far as I know.
Yeah.
But I've seen other survivors with similar paint jobs, like
That's fucking
other kit
awesome.
bikes like that with
Yeah.
similar paint jobs. And so yeah, I have all the original paperwork with it too, like the manufacturer, sale of origin, all that shit.
That's
But yeah, I
crazy.
drove 14 hours to Jersey to go get that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I paid $800 for the whole setup, uh, and I already had all the other parts. And then I kind of
Right.
started like when I was building it, I I built it like how I wanted to sit on it. Like so,
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to have my foot on the stator cover.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to use that as a peg, and I just kind of built everything around it um, that way. That's how I started with that one.
You've done the same with your shovel, haven't you? You've only got one peg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah.
only need
Yeah.
one. The
Yeah.
other
I love
side
it.
is the rocker clutch, dude, and you just rest your foot on the
Yes.
rocker clutch when you're going down the road. It's
Yeah, that's cool
I
stuff.
like shit like that. Some people trip out on it, and they're like, like some people want to see symmetry.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
It
my style.
it's chopper. It's chopper as fuck.
My
That's
buddy,
cool.
the one peg that I have on there, my buddy made for me. He actually made me two, and I was like, I'm only gonna use one, so so
That
I
the
have
one with
another
the
one sitting
dicks.
here. Yeah, the one with the dicks, dude.
Yeah.
He did it on his little CNC. He's got like a CNC robot
Oh,
thing.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he CNC'd it out for me, and I love it. It's killer.
And you've done some miles on that CB, haven't you?
Yeah, that thing's been to it's been to California twice. It's been down to Georgia. It's been up to Maine, Nebraska. It's been all over the country.
That's great. And you're in Ohio.
Yeah, and I'm in
Yeah. So
Ohio.
from
So
Ohio to fucking California, like that's crazy.
yeah. And like if you just put it into Google, it's like I think it's like 3,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
But though I never take highways, it's all back roads and like off the beaten path kind of places. So I'm probably pushing close to 3,500, 4,000 miles one way.
And how long did that take?
I usually give myself like if I'm going to California, I'm not trying to rush, so I give
Yeah.
myself like a whole month. Like I usually have like a I'll give myself like if I think it's going to take 4 days, I give myself 8. Like I just double up.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's come in handy a couple of times, man. I was on a trip out to Nebraska and I missed a turn and ended up on a dirt road. And I went to turn around on the dirt road and the bike fell over and put a hole like this big in my stator cover.
Shit.
So oil was just dumping out and I ended up like I think it took me a whole day to get that fixed. Uh I had to camp out back. I had to camp behind a weld shop. And then in the morning, I had to walk in there and be like, that's my bike back there. And it's got a big hole in it. And they're like, well, we don't have any time. I was like, can I just use your welder? Like, I know how to weld aluminum.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
these dudes were like, all right, I guess so. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. Got it all welded up.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't fixed. Like I broke my clutch cable in the process, and like finding a Honda CB750 clutch cable on the road is like not an option.
Yeah, of course.
Like it's just not an option. So I had to go to like Tractor Supply. So I pushed the bike like down the road to this diesel shop where I'm like, okay, maybe they have like a crimping tool or something I can
Yeah.
fix this thing. And the diesel shop dude is still a friend of mine to this day. I met him for like an hour. He drove me to Tractor Supply and then he had to go on a call. And I was like, no worries. I'll wait till you get back. He's like, nah, man, take the truck. Like he gave me the keys to his truck.
Yes.
He's like, get it fixed up. I'll be back in about an hour. I was like, hell yeah.
I
So
love
yeah,
that
he's
shit.
still a good friend of mine to this day.
Awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
man.
So you got to Nebraska then?
I did. I got to Nebraska. That wasn't even the worst. That wasn't even the worst breakdown, believe it or not. Made it to Nebraska, and then like the camp out was on this farm, and you had to go over a bunch of like cattle gates. And it was a bam, like you're talking like a quarter-inch cattle
Yeah.
gate difference between what you're on and like that cattle gate. So I hit like 4 of those, and
Shit.
then the struts were the original struts from the 70s, and they had
Yeah.
just been taking a beating, and they just snapped, and the bike fucking folded in
Oh.
half, dude. My bag hit me in the back of the head, and I was like, "What the fuck happened, dude?" So I spent like I was going to be there for 3 days anyway, so it wasn't any like extra time. But I spent like a whole day, like just driving a couple of hours to get those struts refabricated while I was on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
the
fucking crazy.
CB is like the motor, super reliable. All the
Yeah.
chopper shit
Yeah.
around it,
Yeah.
not so much,
Nuts.
you know?
See, that's like, I know we spoke about it last time, like traveling that distance across America, you have to get like, well, unless you get like a U-Haul or whatever, but like really your only option is to fix the thing. Like here in the
Mhm.
UK, we just call like RAC or something and we just get recovered and we just go home and we just call it a day. If something like as bad as that happened, we would, but obviously you're in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. You can call AAA or like, so I was about 8.5 hours away when that happened, when I
Yeah.
cracked the stator cover, when I
Yeah.
dropped it. I was about 8.5 hours away from home. So it was like, I could have called my brother, he could have came and got me, but like I think half the fun of doing trips like that is like just figure it out.
Yeah, man.
Like
Yeah.
you're bound to break down. It's gonna happen whether you're on like the newest bike imaginable or you're on a fucking shitty chopper. The way the roads that we're riding are just they're gonna shake you to death.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit a pothole or two. Like it's always gonna happen. And I just as long as you don't panic, you don't
Yeah.
like
You have to
when it
embrace it.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, when it happens, you have that moment of like, oh no, like this,
Yeah.
like my
Yeah.
trip is over kind of thing. But then you give it like 15 or 20 minutes and you
Yeah.
calm down and you just kind of come up with a plan. We're going to figure this out. So yeah, that's half the fun for me.
And the fact that you can just spend like a month on the road, like it's fucking crazy. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
here you could spend. I mean, you could spend as long as you want, but it would be, yeah, it's not even 1,000 miles from the top to the bottom. So it's You know what I mean?
That's
yeah.
that's crazy, dude. Like
We've got some
I
cool
told
shit to
you,
see, but yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
that blows my mind because yeah, I'm just kind of like used to living here,
Yeah,
like used to living in America where you can go for days at a time.
yeah,
And it always tripped me out because I've got a couple of buddies who live in Hawaii and I can't imagine
yeah,
living in Hawaii and owning a motorcycle. Like it would be just so weird to like be able to see the whole thing in like a day or 2 days or
yeah.
whatever it is, like that blows my mind. So I don't think I
Yeah.
could do it.
No, I always get kind of jealous when I speak to you guys and listen to you the trips and that you get to take.
You got, I mean, you're coming over here, right?
Oh
Eventually.
man, I'm supposed to be there now.
I know.
Oh, and I just my friend sent me a thing today, um, saying that the states have just laxed the rules. So come May 12th, you don't need any vaccines to enter. And
Oh
and
my God, dude.
the amount of people that I spoke to that have been like, I went to the States like last month and they didn't ask me for anything. I'm like, fuck, should I have just done it? Should I have just tried it? But I know that because I get pulled over anyway every time and I get interrogated, it would have been a
Right.
question. It would have, and the UK pass, I had loads of American guys like sending me the picture of like your COVID passports. Ours are different. Ours are electronic. They're on an app and they've got like a QR code and you got to scan
Oh.
it. You know what I mean? And yeah, maybe I should have just gone for it, but I hate flying so much that I couldn't think of anything worse than taking a fucking 9 hour flight and then having to get interrogated for 2 hours and fly home
Oh
another
God. Yeah,
nine
that would have
hours.
been terrible.
Yeah.
That would have been. Yeah, that it's hard, it's hard to say whether you would have gotten in or not.
Oh my luck, I would have got fingered by like, it would have
The
just
TSA is gonna take you in the back, dude.
yeah. Oh man. So tell us about your
Yeah.
shovel. I love that bike. Did
Do
you
you?
did you
Oh yeah.
originally build that for a show bike? You wanted to show that you could build a show bike? Is that
Yeah. So that was my first ever bike. I've had that bike the longest. I don't want to say my first ever. I had a Sportster and I fucking hated it. But
yeah.
dude, I sold that Sportster twice. You know how they say like, I always want my first bike back.
Yeah.
Dude, I had that feeling and I bought it back off my uncle and then sold it again. I was like,
Yeah.
this thing
Yeah.
sucks as bad as I remember. Like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first bike. I learned how to build on that thing on my shovel head, and then I didn't have any intention of changing it. But I was riding down to Cincinnati for the dirt bike hill climbs, national hill climbs to go watch, and I got hit. Some lady hit me in the back like 40 mile an hour
Oh shit.
and fucked the bike all up. So I had to it needed rebuilt anyway, and I took it as an opportunity to kind of do like a show bike style. I hate building show bikes. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even consider that like a legitimate show bike. Like it's got all kinds of mismatched bolts and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to kind of take it as an opportunity to like prove to myself and prove to other people that I could do nice stuff.
Yeah. It makes
I
me
just
fancy.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah. Yeah.
can
Yeah.
do that. I just
Yeah.
prefer not to. Like I don't it doesn't make me feel any better to make it like shiny and chromed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh it's like I get no more satisfaction out of it than when I'm riding my like shitty chopper, my CB 750 down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good opportunity to kind of like push myself and do something a little bit different. And I'm happy with it. I really like the way it came out.
So how did it start, the shovel head?
Um, the shovel head started as a box of parts. It was my dad's. My dad bought it for like $2,500 when nobody was trying to buy. Like when Jesse James and OCC were like top dog, and those kind of
Yeah.
bikes were the shit.
Yeah.
Uh, Nobody was buying pan heads, shovel heads, none of that. And so he picked that generator shovel head up with a 4-speed running for $2,500.
Oh.
And yeah, yeah. And then he wanted to build like a ratty chopper out of it. So uh, he tore it all down, and then life got in the way, and it kind of sat in a box for I think like 8 years, and then he passed away in 2008, and I got like the box of parts. He had two bikes. He had a '97 Heritage Softail Springer, and my youngest brother got that, and I got the shovel head. So I had other family members who had built bikes before, so I had them kind of like help me get started. And then I was in college. I couldn't really. I sold the Sportster to pay for it. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have the skills or the knowledge to build it myself, so I paid somebody to put it together for me. And then I got it back. I wrote it, and every time I wrote it, it broke. So
yeah. So was he
that's how I
was he a
learned.
builder, or was he
No, just a
just a
guy.
guy? Yeah.
Just a guy. Like
Yeah.
he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
But he's just like a guy who had put bikes together before,
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
and he was looking for some extra cash. And
Yeah.
dude, I was the customer that I hate now. Dude, I was that dude. I was calling him like every week, like, "Hey man, how's the progress?" And just annoyed the shit out of him. And then eventually, I think it didn't take him long. I think it took him like 3 or 4 months to get it all together for me. And yeah, then it just kept breaking, and I kept having to fix stuff as I went, and that's how I learned to build motorcycles.
Sick.
Yeah, eventually, I fixed it so many times, or I fixed broken shit so many times that my friends were like, "Hey, mine's kind of broken in that same way. How did you, can you do it to mine?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll give it a shot." So
Fucking
10
right.
years of that, and then you get a shop, and you open up a shop, and you got way more shit than you ever thought you could have.
You've like spawned like an interest in me for Jap choppers. I don't know what I did. I don't know what it is. Like it's
They're fucking cool, man. And
yeah.
when I first got started, I had never seen a Japanese chopper that I was like,
Mhm.
"That's cool." And then I was at where was it? I was in Detroit at Oily Souls was the name of the show. And my buddy, he's a buddy of mine now, but at the time he was just like some dude who was building stuff out of Chicago. Al Strange Cycles
Awesome.
built this killer CB750, and I saw it, and I was like from that moment on, I was like, I have to have a
Yeah.
CB750 chopper. Like that's just so cool. And then when I started the shop, that was kind of my bread and butter, because nobody around here will work on that stuff. Nobody will
Right.
touch old Japanese four speeds or four cylinders. So like when I first started, man, it was, buying and selling dual overhead cam CB750s and Suzuki's, and just fixing those up. Uh, you know, little twin cylinder CBs, shit
Yeah.
like that nobody wants to work on.
What? So would you buy them, do them up, and sell them, or
Yeah, that's how I got
yeah,
started.
yeah,
Yeah,
sick.
I would buy a butt like I'd just scour Marketplace and
Yeah,
Craigslist and find like $250 $250 bikes, and like I'd go there.
yeah,
I'd take my fucking compression tester and my multimeter and just make sure like it's got good compression, and the stator's putting shit out, so I won't have to spend a ton of money and the motor's not blown.
yeah.
And then I would just clean the carbs, redo the valves, change out front ends or wheels or whatever was broken on it. Whatever
Yeah.
reason, it was $250.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got started.
It's fucking the markets are very different. We don't have all the swap meets, and we don't have many 250 pound bikes, on marketplace and shit. But that's another thing I get jealous of. I see like because I'll just jump on marketplace and I'll just put in like Ohio. I'll put like the other day I put in Dayton just to see what was about. Fuck me, man. Like the amount of Harleys, Sportsters for just like $1,500. It's like it's fucking crazy. You don't get that here.
We're spoiled over here, dude. We've got like
Yes.
just in Ohio itself, I've got Lowbrow Customs, I've got TC Brothers,
Oh,
I've
wow.
got just a number of people that I can order parts from, and then yeah, we got Marketplace, and you can get anything you want on Marketplace.
Yeah, man.
And if you search long enough, you will find a good deal on something.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna come and hide out in your fucking office up there.
hell yeah, dude. As soon as that
A
thing's
legal
done,
immigrant.
man, hell yeah. So yeah, I'm making some headway on that whole thing too. Last time we had talked, I was still dealing with the city on being able to live up there. It's like against regulation or whatever
Yeah.
to live in a commercial property. But I finally got word back that all I have to do is file some forms and then go in front of the board and go in
Fucking
front of
right.
the city council or whatever and
Yeah.
ask for a variance on the building. So hopefully that all goes well and I can.
Yeah, because I saw your posts and it's looking fucking sick up there.
It's getting there, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
man. The kitchen looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, my brother's a project. I'm gonna fuck this up, but he's a project manager or a project engineer, one of the two for
Right.
a major construction company. So he helps me out and he knows all the codes. He knows how to build stuff. So all I do is just kind of like I follow him around like a little kid holding the tools and shit. He gets it all done up there, you know. Like I'll help him carry countertops upstairs, but when it comes to setting them, like here you go, man. What do we got to
do? Tell us about
So,
the elevator.
oh, dude, yeah, that. So when I bought this place that I have here was built in like the 1890s, and it was built as a hardware and feed store. And so, like to get stuff upstairs, they had like a dumbwaiter,
Yeah.
like a rope
Yeah.
elevator. And for a long time, it just sat over there, and you couldn't use it because the rope was all dry rotted and shit. I tried to use it, and the
Yeah.
rope broke, and I fucking plummeted 2 stories, dude. So after that, I was like, I got to come up with a better solution. And a buddy of mine, I had gotten a garage door, like a commercial garage door opener, from my uncle, and I was gonna hook it up, but I was in no hurry. And then a buddy of mine saw it and was out here and was like, "Dude, we should do that." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, like let's do it." He knows about all that electrical shit.
Yeah.
So he helped me get it all hooked up the way that we needed to have it hooked up. And yeah, now I have a working elevator with a garage door button. You hit up, you
That's
hit
sick.
down. So it makes moving stuff up there real nice.
Yeah, fucking right. So like
Dude, it's
that garage door motor, is it strong? Is it strong enough to like your I seen you bought a new stove, like cook, I don't know what you call it, a cooker. Yeah. Like that must have been heavy.
yeah. I mean,
And
it's pretty heavy. It's
and
not
did
as heavy as you would think, honestly.
oh really? Okay. It looks heavy.
Yeah,
Did you take that up in the elevator?
yeah,
Yeah, so the motor's
yeah.
strong. It's not just like a
Dude, it's a commercial. Like when
that's
I
so
say a
funny.
commercial garage door, I'm talking like
Oh,
it was on a garage door that was like I think 20 foot wide by like
yeah, yeah.
almost 20 foot for like
Like
14 or 20
like a
foot
like a
tall.
warehouse kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay, cool.
yeah. So
That's
those
fucked
are
up.
heavy,
Yeah, yeah.
And the worst, like the only part about it that I have to like figure out something is when you get to a certain point because it's on a cable, right? So and the cable is just on a V pulley. So when you get to a certain spot on there, it starts to slip. Like it can't grab the cable because there's
Fuck.
grease on the cable. So it gets hung up at like the last, like your face is like right at the bottom of the second floor and it'll start like slipping. So you got to like kind of pull it up to get it through. But all I got to do
Oh,
is degrease that pulley and I'll be good. I just haven't done it.
that is hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
is there any risk of you getting stuck halfway?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's happened. It's happened a couple of times. I had
Where's
a
the
buddy.
is it just
Well,
like a remote or is it
it's a garage door button.
do you
It
carry that with
says
you or is it like duct taped on the wall so you can just like
it's mounted to the back, so it's mounted to the back of the elevator. So, and
that's so funny.
it's on an extension cord reel that reels
Yeah.
itself up.
Right.
So
Okay, cool.
as you push, like as you go up, it's reeling itself
Ah,
in, and
yeah,
as you
yeah,
go
okay.
down, it lets
I get
itself
you.
wheel out. And but dude, I had a buddy that I met on TikTok, and he was just driving through the areas from Oklahoma,
Yeah.
He was driving through the area and he stopped out and he wanted to hang out. And I was like, yeah, sure, come on out. So he's hanging out for like a day and he's like, I really want to ride the elevator. I was like, yeah, let's go. So we ride it up
So do I.
and yeah. So we take it up and I was like, yeah, you want to like, he's like, well, you got to get this stuff downstairs. I was like, yeah. So we loaded up on the elevator and we're riding it down. And when it goes down, the tensioner pulley is on the bottom. So when you're going down, the tensioner pulley doesn't really work that well. So we're going down, it falls off the tensioner pulley, and we just go down 2 stories like now.
Fuck.
And luckily there's a counterweight, so it doesn't fall that fast. But I was like, dude, are you all right? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm good. I have since fixed it. It can't come off the tensioner anymore. We put like walls on it and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a learning lesson, you know.
That is fucking hilarious.
He has a good story, and I got to take him for a fun ride.
I've thought about that elevator at least once a day since we spoke. I just think it's hilarious. Like it's great.
Have you seen it? Like, have you gone on my? Oh, dude, you got to go back to check it out. It's got like, it's awesome because it's, it was like built in the 1890s, and like I said, it used to be a dumbwaiter. So
yeah,
all the gearing is huge. Like you go upstairs, and the wheel that actually turns is like it's not as big as me. I want to say it's like 4 foot diameter.
Fuck.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, and the gears are all like, cast from like the 1890s and shit.
So it's strong as fuck then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've got a totally different picture in my head of I'm gonna draw one.
When we get off here, dude, I'll send you a picture of it on Instagram or something.
Yeah, awesome.
So it's definitely not like whatever you have in your head. It's not that probably.
Oh, it's awesome.
So yeah, man, it's very horse-drawn carriage-like.
That's cool as fuck, man.
Yeah.
So you'll be living upstairs then?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's been the plan. We don't have a whole lot left to do. I know I say that all the time, and then I think about it, and there's like 50 things that I can come up with that need done. But at this point, all that's left to do is like the wiring in the kitchen. We didn't run any wires in there because we weren't really sure how it was going to lay out. But the wiring in the kitchen, the ceiling, and the gas line to the stove are really the only things I need to finish up to actually move in there.
Awesome. A lot of people, they say, because I live above my house, my work, I live above my house. I live above my shop, and I fucking love it because I don't start anything until like the afternoon. Like I don't start tattooing until 12, like minimum 12. Usually I have to push them back till 1. So like,
right.
Yeah, it's great. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of people, they say, oh no, you want to keep your home and your work life separate. But
I think if you like what you do,
yeah,
right. I think if you really enjoy what you do, I don't think it's a problem. I think if obviously if you don't like going to work and it's right downstairs, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But I'm the same way, dude. Like I'm very much an afternoon person. I am not a morning person. And so I usually don't get down here till 11:30, 12 o'clock. Yeah. But I'm working till like 2:30 in the morning most nights, or some nights, most nights, but yeah, like, and especially when I get into like a creative zone, like that, one of the things about being like a custom chopper builder is like you're constantly being asked to be like creative, and they ask you without really asking you. They're like, I want something custom, which means I don't want something that anybody else has. So when I get into a zone where everything's kind of flowing and I'm like I'm in a creative mindset, I try to stay down here as long as I can and get as much shit done as possible, because some days you just don't have it,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, once you're in the zone, you just got to fucking keep going until basically I have to keep going until I black out, until I'm ready to pass out. And then, because like you say, some days you get up and it's not there. All the tools are there in front of you, everything you need, but you just don't feel it. So, yeah, especially with things like controls. Making a set of controls that's unique is
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like I've been asked to do it like 3 times. It's controls and exhausts.
Right.
Exhausts are by far and away the worst because, no matter what you do, there's only so many ways to do it. And the more complexity you add to it, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
So coming up with like a nice, simple design that's not something that anybody has, done before is hard to do. Um, and controls are very much the same, and those actually have to like pivot and move and like
Yeah.
function like a real like they should.
Yeah.
So otherwise, somebody's not stopping at the stoplight.
Yeah.
So
Especially now, like coming up with an original idea
yeah,
now, because like everyone's doing everything. It's
yeah,
fucking
yeah. It's hard. I that's probably my biggest struggle down here is like coming up with something new, like coming
yeah,
up with and I feel like if like I said before, like a customer says I want something custom, I feel like you can't like pull an idea that you've already used, even if it's your old idea and it's
yeah,
on somebody else's bike and it's killer.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I hate doing things twice. I'll do it if somebody's like, I really like that specific, clutch setup or brake setup or
yeah.
whatever. But I try to do something new every time.
Sick. So, what do you
How do you
find
do that
yourself?
with how do you do that with tattooing? Like how does that go? Like you're having to be creative all the time, or do you just get a lot of people who like bring you a drawing and they're like, I want this?
Yeah, so because I do a lot of like black and gray stuff, it's usually working off like photographs and stuff. So create it's hard to be creative really, especially that the style that I do. It's one of the reasons that I'm pulling back and I'm wanting to retire. Because the style of black and gray that I do a lot of, it's so hard. I say to people every day, okay, let me try and find a lion face that I've not done, and I'm like scrolling through the internet trying to find, like a fucking angel or a fucking all these things like for some reason at the moment Medusa, like these realistic Medusa. Yeah, but Medusa's not real, so there's not a fucking photograph of Medusa. So you've got to find a woman's face, and then I've got to put a load of fucking snakes together, and it's making it different from the others. It's fucking hard. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
you
I
can't.
mean,
You're not like you copying in the tattoo industry is not a good thing, I'd imagine.
exactly. Yeah, totally. No, I mean, sometimes someone will come, they'll say, look, I want this, and I'm like, right, well, I can't do that exact same thing because that you can't do that. So I'll do something similar, and even though it's different, sometimes I'll look at it, I'm like, I'm not posting that because whoever did the original, that they will definitely call me out because it's too close.
Yeah.
So I just hide it. It wasn't me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I hear
uh,
you on that,
no,
man.
it's hard. I mean, traditional and like Japanese and stuff like that, it's really easy to be creative. As long as I like follow it'll be the same as you. As long as you follow the rules, so it works and it's you're following like the foundation.
Mhm.
Then yeah, being creatives, that's quite easy. But with the black and gray stuff that I do mainly, I find it difficult.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
It's like someone like bringing you fucking Kawasaki Vulcans every day. every,
Dude,
and you're
I
like,
would
there's so
definitely.
many better bikes than this. No, my friend has this one and I want the same. That's what it's like.
Yeah, I can. Oh, dude, if that was the case for this shop, man, it would be over. I'd be out of here already.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like I toyed around with the idea of like going to a bike shop, but yeah, like a dealership or something. But yeah, that would be a nightmare to like the same bike over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And this Kawasaki Vulcan that I'm working on is for a buddy of mine, and he's trying to sell it. He has since bought a Harley, and he's just trying to sell this one, but he lost spark for no reason. So those are the kind of things that I kind of enjoy doing. It's like I'm not doing any fabrication. I just need to figure out this hard
The
problem.
problem. Yeah.
Like there's something that's not allowing the bike to start. Like it's not allowing spark to happen. So you got to go through all the
Yeah.
diagnoses and figure it out from there. So this is a cool project. I like doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if he was just like, hey, I have this Vulcan and I want this custom,
I want it to be a bobber.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have
Yeah.
been like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah. I
There's a
thought we were
better
friends.
platform. Yeah, I'd probably still do it for him, but I'd be like dreading it the whole
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting topic. Is like starting platforms for choppers. Like I've had a lot of people bring me stuff and be like, "Hey, I want to build a bobber or a chopper or whatever out of this," and I'm just like, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like there's no there's no aftermarket support. Like if
Yeah.
something breaks, it's all custom, and you're gonna
Yeah.
have $20,000 into this Honda Rebel or something.
Man, I was saying the same thing to my friend recently. What's he got? He's got one of those victories. And
Oh
he's like,
yeah,
"Oh, I want to make it a chopper out of it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like they've stopped making the parts are hard to get. I don't know what it's like over there, but over here it's very expensive to get parts because we have to order them from America. So
right.
yeah, it's I'm trying to talk him out of it, but he's going for it. He's going for it.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to do it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's super chopper that he's doing it, like
Yeah.
regardless. That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
Uh, I guess we'll see how practical it is in the long run.
Yeah.
But victories, I've got mixed emotions on them. Like since they're no longer being produced anymore, uh, and there's not a ton of aftermarket support for them. It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird platform to start with, but you know, I don't know how a lot of people do it, but like since I'm working on mostly vintage, not mostly vintage jet bikes anymore, but when I was working mostly on vintage jet bikes, like they don't reproduce parts for those either.
Yeah.
Uh, Especially anything other than Honda. So like Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, like nobody's making anything for those. So eBay is your best friend.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I go on
Yeah.
eBay and like I do a lot of buying on eBay because yeah, they just don't make that shit anymore. So you have to
Yeah.
find somebody who stripped one completely down, took all the usable parts off of it, and
Yeah, he's
is
just
selling it.
he's blown a shock or something on that victory recently, and it was cheaper to buy a full new swing arm and shocks and everything off eBay secondhand than it was to buy the part that you needed.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
it's crazy.
I try to tell people that. Most people listen. I don't
Yeah.
think I've had a bike in here that I've had to do that I was like I wouldn't do that, and then they were
Mhm.
like I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
But every now and then you will come across like I did a KZ 650 for a guy, and dude, finding parts to fix that was a nightmare. Especially because a lot of that stuff is like a 1 year, 2 year only thing, and even on eBay, people don't always know the year ranges of shit that
yeah,
things
of
go to.
course. Yeah,
So it looks right, but when you get it, the plug is different or like the wire codes are different.
yeah.
So like shit just doesn't work. So
What's
that's the
that?
hard part about
What's that Kawasaki that you're building?
the KZ 1000.
That is crazy.
I'm really excited about that one. I'm kind of putting it on the back burner for a little while because I was going to try to finish it for fuel this year, but it's just like it needs so much. Like really, all I have is the motor and the frame at this point,
Right.
and the gas tank. I'd still
Yeah.
have to build a front end for it. I'd make all the controls and all that stuff. So I put that on the back burner for fuel, but I am really excited to get that one cooking.
Where
That's
did
going to be
where did the inspiration for that frame and that come from?
oh, dude. Uh, Denver's. I assume you know about Denver's choppers from back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, they built a pink CB 750 with a
So,
drop neck frame like that and the
right.
same gas tank. And I saw it in the movie Six Over.
Yeah.
It's only in there for like 2 or 3 seconds. Like
I love that movie. Yeah, I can't think
us.
where that is.
Caleb Owens is like
Yeah.
moving it out of the way when they're like showing his shop.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
He's like
yeah.
sliding it, right? Like he's pulling the front
Right.
end and sliding it over.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was like,
cool.
I saw that and was like, fuck, I need to know like what that bike is. Like that thing is cool.
Yeah.
And that started like a 5-day Google like search. Like I had no idea. I was just pink CB750. Like I was just
Yeah.
Googling shit like that. And then finally I messaged him and he got back to me and was like, oh, it's an old Denver's bike. So then
Oh,
I found
cool.
it. It's a Denver's CB7. I forget the name of it now, but I've been basically like, I want to start with that platform. I want that frame and that tank, and then I want to do my own rendition of that Denver's chopper with a KZ1000 instead
That's
of a
cool.
CB750. And it's in an old Denver's swing-tail frame.
Oh,
I
sick.
don't know if you know anything about those. Uh,
No. Go on.
they didn't make very many of them because
Yeah.
it's a terrible idea. It's
Right. Okay.
it's a bad idea.
Yes.
Like Amen plunger frames, they were
Yeah.
like basically kind of going off of that, right? And
Yeah.
Amen plunger frames have a reputation of being shitty because the axle is the only thing tying everything together back there, so they can kind of move independently. So when you're going
Yeah.
into a turn, the wheel kind of does this, like it
Yeah.
bounces back
Of
and forth.
course.
Well, this is too many swing arms off the back. It's
Right.
like two little swing arms, and the only thing tying it together is the axle, and there's no like
Shit.
it's just a spring on top. So the swing arm is here. There's a
Yeah.
spring, and then there's like a piece that comes over that the spring sits in between, and that is it. And
Fuck.
not
And
a great design. I'll probably end up like making it so that it
dying.
doesn't move, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. What color are you gonna go? You gonna go pink?
I think I'm no,
Yeah.
no. I think I'm gonna go like what kind of music do you listen to? Let's start there because this
Everything.
is
Good.
everything.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of the
everything.
Viagra Boys?
Viagra Boys?
Dude,
No.
the Viagra Boys are this like pop punk band out of or punk rock band out of Sweden, and they have
Right,
this
cool.
song called Punk Rock Loser. And in that video, he's wearing like a cowboy outfit with like dark blue and light blue, like button down shirt, and it's got fringe all over it.
Right, okay, cool.
And I think I'm gonna do that, like a dark
Yeah.
blue, light blue, and just a ton of fringe all over this thing.
Yeah, sick. Fucking right.
So
I can't
that's
wait
the
to see that.
plan.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're gonna put that, but that's gonna be next year, do you think?
Yeah, probably this coming winter. I really need to like I've stopped taking on like jobs, like extra jobs. I've got so much like backlog of stuff right now that I'm just kind of focusing on what I have. So I'm gonna thin the herd out as far as like paid work, and then this winter I'm gonna try to just like do a job and work on that bike at the same time.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
wanted to
like
ask you last go ahead.
no, go.
I was gonna ask you last time, what kind of I really trip out on like old Denver's stuff. Like old Denver's and Arlen Ness were kind of like the people that I really like early Ness stuff. I really dug all the stuff that he built back in the 70s and shit.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you what kind of old school builders do you really like?
Dick Allen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like gnarly fucking just bad shit. Like, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Like just bare bones. Like
Nothing too fancy, just like holy shit. Whoever owns that is fucking crazy. Yeah, like
yeah, dude, that's the way to be.
that.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's my jam too. Like I like Denver's and I like Ness, but I also like bikes that have been ridden. Like
Yeah,
I think we talked about this off podcast
yeah,
last
yeah,
time,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it you know the style of chopper that I really dig is like the stuff you see in like the parking lot at the shows, you know. I
Yes,
really
yeah,
I really get excited about like seeing a bike it looks like it's been ridden, you know, like
yeah,
this
totally.
dude, he built it the way that he wanted it, and he rides it every day, and it's been to, this state and the other state, and the
Yeah,
wiring's a little trippy, and
yeah,
this fucking
totally.
thing broke and he had to weld it on the road, so it's still like all scabbed together and shit. Like that's the kind of shit I dig.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I especially like Caleb's builds because like even though they're like super clever and beautiful, but he still rides them. They're not like, you know what I mean? They're not trailered, and that he'll ride them
Right.
to the fucking show and that. And
Yeah.
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 It's important for me that the bike can be ridden, and I'm not into. I mean, like, I know Tom Fugle and stuff. He'd make like the quite showy kind of, but like all those old pictures that his family are still posting now on the Fugle files and stuff for the like Tiny's old bike and shit like that. It gets me excited.
hell yeah. Yeah. That's, I try to build bikes. Like I'm kind of a believer in like, so I'm going to be in a show in Idaho this year. It's the Party at the Pen show.
Cool.
And every show that bike has been in, I've ridden to. So it was in Fuel. Fuel's like 45 minutes down the road, so it's not far. And then it was in Glory Days. And Glory Days is in Pittsburgh, which is about 2 hours from me. So I rode it there too. And then last year I rode it to Oklahoma. It wasn't to a show, it was to like a camp out thing.
Cool.
So this year it's going to be a Party of the Pen. So I'm going to jump on it and ride it out to Party of the Pen this year. I think I like bikes that are ridden into the show. So I try to like build a bike and then ride it to a show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's cool.
I feel like that. I mean, not in the big shows, but I feel like that is making a massive comeback now. Like Sturgis and stuff like that, everyone's still like trailering their bikes in shorts and sandals, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. But like, yeah, no, I think that's coming back. I think people, that whole like, it can't just be a work of art, which I appreciate, but like, I appreciate the craft more than the art thing. You know, like how it went.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of putting it too. Like, show bikes are awesome for inspiration. Like they show you what to aspire to, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, you could like make a comparison between like avant-garde, fashion. Like it's meant to be an inspiration. It's not really meant to be like something you wear.
Yeah, you can't jump
ride.
to Walmart on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So they're good for that, but I'll look at them and appreciate the time that went into fabricating things, and the like, ooh, he did that. Like I'll steal a lot of I get a lot of ideas when I'm like walking around shows looking at stuff like that. It's like, okay, he was able to hide that brake mechanism behind this part, by doing that. So that's what they're good. I think that's what they're good for. But I really sit and like marvel at, like somebody found this in a barn and got it running, and this was built in like the 70s. Like I dig that.
Totally. That's where I've just got that 49 Panhead, and it's in a shovel head swing on frame. But I want to take it. My plan with it is to stick it in an original Panhead frame, and I want it to look like it was like I want it to look like a stock, not stock, because I still want it to be kind of crazy and beautiful, but I want it to look like it was found in a barn. You know what I mean? Like I want to get the paint. Yeah. I don't want to go too far with like the fake patina, but I like that look, and I'm not patient enough to wait 10 years for it to happen naturally. But I just I'm not into like flashy. I love that like Survivor look.
The immediately what comes to mind is six over. I'm glad you've seen it, because not a lot of people have that I talked to have seen it. Oh,
I know what you're gonna say, Max Schaff, that knucklehead that he pretended that he found. Like that thing was. Totally. I saw that and was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like that's what I want, kind of thing. Yeah, totally.
And that movie really got me started in choppers, because I had that shovel head. And the only inspiration that was the only bikes that were kind of in the mainstream at the time were the OCC West Coast choppers kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When I had it, and I was trying to kind of make it into something like that when I first got started. Like I bought the gaudy tank, and I was trying to put a big tire on it, and then I rode that bike to a show. Yeah. I didn't realize, you don't
No,
know
totally,
until you know,
totally.
kind of
Yeah,
thing. You
100%.
just
No, no.
you just
Yeah.
imagine that, like, oh, that's what everybody's into.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
And I remember, I don't even remember how I found out about this show, but somebody was like, "Oh, bike night at Hoop or at is it at Hooples? It was some, yeah, Hooples downtown in Cleveland is doing this showing of Six Over." And I was
Right.
like, "What is Six Over?" And then I Googled the trailer and I was like, "Oh, that seems cool. Like, I'll go
Yeah.
check that out." And I rode that bike there and it was just a sea of choppers. And I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
people ride these and like that's a style." Like, I had no idea this was even a style anymore. And then I saw that movie and immediately went and bought the movie and then
Yeah.
watched it for like 4 or 5 straight days and was
Yeah.
like starting to get ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that kind of kicked it off. Then I started making the shovel head look more like a chopper from that day forward, and
Yeah,
I've
cool.
just never looked back. It's such an underrated movie.
100%. And I think that is what got me into choppers, yeah, as well. Like that, just that movie.
Yeah,
That
man.
was like, I was and like listening to like Max describe that knucklehead and what he, I remember thinking, ah, fuck, I'm not weird. Like that's exactly, yeah, totally. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and uh like Facebook was a thing, but like Instagram wasn't even a thing when that came
yeah,
out. So everybody was on forums at the time.
yeah,
Like there was no, it wasn't like in your face all the time. You had to like go to the forum, click
yeah,
on the link, and then scroll down to find those, like find bikes like that. Yeah, that got it all started, man. That got it
yeah,
all
man.
started. This is such a great movie, and uh, I have 2 copies, and I try to give the one extra copy that I have out to like friends of mine
Yeah,
who have never seen it, just
yeah,
so that they can watch it and like
yeah, man.
understand the whole thing.
I fucking love it. The Sportster chopper that I've got, when it was with the guy that did a lot of work on it and had it painted for me, I actually, it was because of that bit with Max Shaft talking about the knucklehead. The inspiration I had for the paint was, I want a blue undercoat, and then I want it gloss black, but then I want you to like crackle all the edges. Just listening to him talking about trying to crackle it and make it look old. Crackle all
Yeah.
the edges and give it that look. But it came back totally different. He didn't get what I was saying, but yeah, that's where it came from. Fuck. No one's seen it. You're the first person I've who's, yeah.
I feel like anybody who has seen it, like
We're
it's like
friends
a
now.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's definitely like a, oh, you like that movie too, because that was,
Yeah.
like it's one of
Yeah.
those kind of things. Like as soon as somebody sees it, if they're into any of the same stuff that you're into, it's like a treasure, man. Like
Totally.
I thought I lost it at one point,
Yeah.
because I don't know if they're still making it or not, but it's not on
No,
YouTube.
they're not. No.
It's not available to buy, anymore. And
I had to get a
I
guy off the podcast Instagram to send it me. I just put a thing up saying, "Has anybody got it?" Because I lost it. I remember I bought the download, and then I like a year later, 2 years later or something, I went to play it and it just wouldn't play. It was content is lost or whatever.
Oh
And
man.
yeah,
I
I
have
think
I have 2 physical
yeah.
DVDs, and yeah, man, I thought I lost the original
Mm.
at first, and I was like beside myself, dude. I tore apart the place that I was keeping all my stuff. Is like my mom's basement,
Yeah, yeah.
I fucking pulled everything out of there, digging through boxes, dude. I was like, I have to find this. Luckily, it was at my brother's house. I just left it there, so I found it, and I still have it. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's like a little treasure, dude. I keep that thing. Like I should get a case for it. Is what I should do.
I whenever somebody says to me, "Oh yeah, I've seen 21 Days Under the," have you seen 21 Days Under the Sky?
Yeah.
Everyone, it's great. I love that. But yeah, my next question to always like, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen Six Over. Yeah, nobody.
On their website, like on Dice's website, it says that they only sold like 500 copies worldwide. Or,
Oh,
I mean, it wasn't a lot. I could be wrong with 500, but it wasn't a lot of
yeah.
copies. So, which
Yeah,
blows my mind. Like
I think
I
if
don't
they
know how.
re-released that,
Oh God.
I think it would do well now in
Oh,
2023.
for
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think people are really out there looking for content like that, and
totally.
movies like that.
Yeah,
Especially people like me and you and anybody who's seen it. We're always looking for that next one.
I don't think
21
I've.
Days Under the Sky was a good one. I really
Yeah,
like that one too.
yeah. I've seen that Gentry's bringing out another one this summer. There's
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah, he's bringing something similar out. Yeah, yeah,
I'll
I'm looking forward
definitely
to that.
watch it.
Yeah, man. but yeah, like there's so little. I don't want to say content because more, but there's no movies like that.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
I think what I like about it is the production value. It feels like a fucking movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like a documentary following dudes around,
yeah,
uh, it feels like somebody really put some time into it. I think most of the content that's out there is, Instagram, or,
yeah,
it's like a photo, or it's
yeah,
like a
totally.
photo book, which photo books are cool. But like to have Max Schaff and Caleb and Eddie Cleveland, those guys just talking about the experience, like it really
Yeah,
brings you into like, okay, it's not just me.
yeah,
Other people who think exactly the same way that I think about motorcycles, and
yeah, man.
that's cool. I really
Eddie Cleveland Sportster in that stance, like a fucking like a horse rearing. I just
yeah.
remember seeing that, like, that's me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, I love that bike too. I was like, that was a whirlwind in that movie. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that thing's cool. And then like in the next scene, it's like broken and crashed and shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that was a huge bummer. But yeah, dude, that was kind of like what I was going for with the CB.
yeah,
I put a too long of a front end on it, and the rake and trail just happened to work out perfectly. Like I didn't do it on purpose. Like I
yeah,
just bought this long Springer that I knew was too long, and I was like, whatever. If it steers like shit, like that's how I want it to look. So if I'll
yeah,
just deal with it. But it ended up steering like a dream. I mean, that thing
yeah,
going down the road just cruises, and it's probably my favorite bike to ride distance because it turns so well. Uh, the only thing that really sucks about it is like I've got a rear brake only, and it's got a foot clutch. And, anytime you get stuck on a hill, dude, it's chopper yoga.
yeah, yeah.
Like, you got to keep your foot,
Yeah,
I gotta leave it in gear and keep my foot up on the stator cover, like it's
yeah.
way up here, and then the other foot's on the ground, and then I gotta reach down with my hand, my right
Fuck.
hand, and hold the brake. And then
Oh shit.
when it's time to go, I take my hand off the brake, move it up to the throttle, and then clutch out.
Fuck.
And it took me a long time. It took me almost a year to figure out how to ride that bike, dude.
Yeah.
We were at me and a couple of buddies were riding. We rode out to California, and we were on our way back. And I we were at a bar, and there was the parking lot had like a retaining wall,
Yeah.
right? So you pull
Yeah.
up to the retaining wall. There's a bunch of like bumpers or whatever there to keep you from going over the retaining wall. Well, I start the bike up. We're getting ready to leave this bar. I start the bike up, and it's on a hill. So I'm trying to like take off, and
Yeah.
my foot, like I start going towards the clutch side. So I have to take my
Yeah.
foot off the clutch,
Yeah.
and I set it down, and it's just like, wah, wah, wah,
Shit.
like doing this shit. And I go over the retaining wall. I jump I jump off of it to like just kind of like not fall over the retaining wall with the bike. And there's a stop sign right there, and I smack my head right on the stop sign, fall down.
Yeah.
Dude, my buddies are dying laughing, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody stops to help me. They're dying laughing on their bikes. I'm like trying to get it off this retaining wall. It's like half on, half off. So yeah, but after that, I was like, I have to figure out how to like stop on a hill. Like this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. So yeah, chopper yoga is where it's at.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man, you'll have to see it if you ever make it out here. I'll show you how I
Yeah,
have to take off on a hill.
I will definitely. And I mean, now I know I can get over there now with no vaccines and shit. The CB chopper plan is definitely back on.
Yes, killer.
Definitely. And is there anywhere out there that I can like store it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got space at the shop, and there's 3 storage units all around here.
Cool.
I we talked about the prices and shit. Like they're cheap. Like I'm out in the boonies, man. Storage units are a dime a dozen out here.
Awesome.
And like I said, I got space at the shop too, so we'll figure it out.
Sick. Yeah, man. No, I definitely want you to build something, and then whenever I fly out there, I'll just fly into Ohio and just ride from
The
there.
CB
Wherever.
chop.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's killer. Yeah, I think uh having a CB chop in the States is a great idea.
Well, yeah, I was
I
going to
think that'll
ask
be a
that.
lot of fun.
What if you had to choose realistically riding from Ohio to California, you can ride your Shovelhead or CB. What would you have to choose?
I wouldn't if I had to pick one.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, I would pick the CB, and the only reason is because rebuilding a Shovelhead motor costs a lot more money than,
Yeah.
than just buying a whole new CB 750 motor.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And that was really the reason for the CB 750 in the first place. Like I was riding my Shovelhead everywhere. I had the engine rebuilt when I first got it, and I had ridden it. I mean, at the before I built the CB chopper, it had been to California. I had been riding all over Ohio. I'd been to Georgia. I'd been to a couple other like southern states and shit. So I had been riding it for 8 years at that point since the motor rebuild, and I was like, this thing's gonna need a rebuild soon, and like I don't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
So I saw the CB platform and was like, okay, like you can get a CB 750 motor for like $500.
Right.
And if I build a chopper, like I can ride it as much as I want, beat on it, do whatever I want. And then if it blows up, $500, you can have a whole new motor. That was the whole like inspiration. Like I saw the CB 750 and that you could do cool things with them. And then from then on, I was like, I want to get one so that I can just have a chopper to kind of like beat on. And then it just slowly became like my favorite platform to build, like a dig CB 750 choppers.
How fast can they go?
I mean, consistently. I try not to push. Like I'm not a fast, like I don't ride them fast.
No. Yeah.
Even if they can. But like we were riding through the desert on this last trip to California that I did on it. And I was cruising through the desert at like 75 mile an hour for, 2-3 hours.
Okay, cool.
But they'll go like, if you tune them right, they'll go up to like 110.
Yeah. Right.
So they're cool bikes.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You throw, and you can throw different sprockets on them. You can do all kinds of different shit. So,
I can't wait.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's a really cool platform to build from. And it's the only thing that really sucks about them is the charging systems aren't that great. Like most of the time, the stator wires are just like, they've just been in a bike for 50 years. So all the insulation, the wire insulation is all roached off of them.
Oh, okay.
So you got to replace that shit. And then the carburetors are great as far as like once you get them dialed in.
Yeah.
But goddamn, do they like to piss gas for no reason? I've ridden this thing. I've had this thing together for like, I don't know, 8-9 years at this point. And every now and then you'll just be going down the road and it'll just start like, and you're like, what the hell is that? And then you look down and like gas is just running out of the overflow tube on like the one cylinder. And you're like, why? For what reason, dude? Like there's clearly like we've been riding for like 50 miles at this point. Why are you doing it now? So they just, the floats just get stuck for whatever reason.
Right. Shit.
So you'll deal with some of that, but that's really it.
Yeah. That's a simple fix, though, isn't it? Like that's not.
Most of the time you just like whack them on the side. It stops itself sometimes. So on on my way back from California through the desert, I kept having to I would shut the gas off and just run it until it would start to and then turn the gas back on because I just couldn't get it to stop leaking for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then when I got to where I was going, I pulled them off there. I pulled them off of the bike and like went through them. There's nothing in there. There's no reason it should have been doing that. And then I didn't do anything. I just put it back together and put them on the bike, and it rode great the rest of the trip.
Fuck.
So it was
I'm
just having a
excited.
day, I think.
So, I mean, how long is like, when could you, I'm not trying to rush you. I'm, asking out of curiosity. When could you
Yeah.
start something like that? Like, how far are you? Because, I mean, you seem fucking busy all the time.
I am very busy. But like I said, I'm not taking on any new jobs at this point. Like it's all just the
Yeah.
stuff that I have. I'm not even taking on new Springer stuff because I really want to focus on getting I want to make that a little bit more automated. Like I want to build like a real like a jig that I
Yeah.
can like set the legs in, set the
Yeah.
tree in, clamp it down, weld it up. Because right now I just have this I have this mill table, and I kind of set it all up manually. I use the edges of the mill table as like a
Yeah.
reference point, and then make sure everything's square and straight, and then weld it all together. And that shit takes time.
Yeah, man.
So I'd really need to. I'm not taking on any more work at this point, but the I'm hoping that by this winter, most of that stuff is going to be finished up, and then I'll be able to like focus on just builds that I want to do, like my
Yeah.
KZ 1000 and that build. And
Awesome.
I'm kind of this this CB 750 build that I'm doing with my brother or for my brother. We've been working on this thing for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's mostly there. Like we kind of like we worked on it. We worked on it for like 6 months straight before I had opened the shop.
Yeah.
So we were just working on it after work. And then I opened up the shop, and then he started a new job. So it kind of went on the back burner for like the last year and a half. Uh, and then I got this opportunity to get it in the show. So we're going to really try and bang that out. But as far as like stuff that I want to do for myself
Yeah.
or like cool other builds, like it's going to be a little while before I can get to any of that stuff.
So tell us about your springers, because like you make them from total scratch, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy all the raw materials. I try to do everything here in Ohio. One of the things that I tried to do was like, I don't know, philosophically, I really like the idea of like community based financial, like keeping all the money in like Ohio, or as
Yeah.
opposed to like these global businesses and stuff.
Totally.
So I try to use smaller companies. I try to like buy all my stuff local. So I get the steel here. I get the springs and stuff from TC Brothers, and then yeah, I machine the triple trees. I machine all the triple trees. I machine the front legs, the front leg bridge. Most people do like a custom rocker.
Yeah.
So I machine the rockers too. So yeah, they're all 100% handmade by scratch or from scratch. So
That's crazy.
it's I don't think people understand the amount of time that they take. It's a labor of love. I really enjoy doing it, and it's cool to like. I've done a couple of 30 over springers. I've done 2 30 overs,
Yeah.
and both of those dudes love them, and it like makes me super excited that they're
Yeah.
happy about it, and like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
posting it. The one guy's just building it now, and then the other guy has been riding it for a couple of months at this point. I want to say like 4 or 5 months, and he's always posting it and shit. That shit makes
Yeah.
me super excited.
I bet. I was thinking about ordering some springers off you, but I mean, just the shipping and the tax alone wouldn't make it cost effective
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I shipping in the United States, like even like just to California is
Ridiculous.
it adds another 100 and to most states it's like $140 to ship it.
Yeah.
California it's more than that. It's usually like closer to 200.
Shit.
Yeah, it's not and that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you're spending the money on the Springer, it's like $1,500 for
Yeah.
the Springer.
Yeah.
And then most people want it chromed, and depending on how long it is, the chrome costs 500 to $1,000 more dollars. So
Wow.
$2,500 into a Springer, and then you got to pay another 200 to 300 on top of that for
Yeah,
shipping. It's
yeah,
it gets. I can imagine that that's one of those things that most people don't think about either. They're
yeah. Of
like, okay,
course.
it's done, and then you're like, all right, I got to ship it to you.
Yeah, yeah, man.
So
We Ugly North was telling me that he was shipping a frame back from the States here, and it cost $900.
just a
Yeah, man.
frame?
Just the frame. Yeah, and
Wow.
he can ship a bike back cheaper. Yeah, like
How does that work?
in a Conex.
Oh,
Like
okay, yeah,
obviously it would take longer, but just shipping the frame,
yeah.
yeah. And I'm pretty sure you'd have to pay taxes on top of that when it arrives.
I took on a job that I it was a great experience, but it was a very steep learning curve. I took on a job for a guy out of Indonesia,
Right.
and he bought a shovel head here and then had me break it down, put it into three separate boxes,
Yeah.
and then he was doing the Connex box things, like load up a whole Connex box.
Yeah.
But he said he can ship that whole bike in those three boxes for like $70. It just takes forever to get there, like
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
three
Of
months to
course.
get there. And then you got to reassemble it once it gets there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
Those are
guess that's an option.
the guys. I'm glad you brought up Indonesia because they're fucking scene. They're whatever you would call it over there, man. The bikes that we wouldn't even put the money in.
Dude,
They're
250
so
cc.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah, dude.
so good.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I mean, I'll come across them. I'll come across those Indonesian bikes sometimes, and I'm like, damn, that thing is killer. And then you see the guy, like you see a video of the guy riding it, and you're
Yeah,
like, wow, that guy's like 150 pounds soaking wet, and
yeah,
he looks big on that thing.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, I think it's something to do with like the regulations on like those CC bikes. Like you can do whatever you want, or maybe you don't need a license to drive them or something.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I don't understand putting a bunch of money into a 250, but they're killing it. I
yeah, man.
like they make me want to like build a 250 chopper.
Totally, yeah. And like the lines are fucking perfect. It's not like they've just been bolting a load of shit together. The
Yeah.
work that they put in is what we would put into a fucking shovel head or a panhead, or it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah,
only, yeah, dude, the only drawback for me is like, dude, I would look like a monkey on a
yeah,
tricycle for sure.
yeah, totally. I want to
I
get one of
mean,
them. I want to get one of them X90s
yeah.
because I'm a big guy, but I would look hilarious just like jump into the shop on one of them little X90s. Yeah,
Yeah, and like the other cool thing that I like about them is like the proportions are perfect. Like the
yeah,
motor doesn't. It's not like the motor looks weird in those
nah,
choppers.
yeah,
It looks like
totally.
it fits perfectly.
Yeah,
You just have to be a small person to like fit
yeah,
on that bike. I guess I need more CCs than I weigh.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
just me. But
yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, same.
so I don't know if it could push me, but I would definitely like I've thought about building one. It's not really practical, so you just kind of got to do it when you have free time.
Yeah, totally.
Um, so I don't have any free time at the moment, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it.
The
I'm busy building the KZ 1000s, trying to go way too fast on a sketchy chopper.
I can't wait to see that that swing on.
I'll send you some pictures of it.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, man,
I
it's
um I love the fucking speaking about the Indonesians. I love the Japanese scene as well. That's exactly the same. Like, but apart
yeah,
not the small bikes, but
right.
they're doing something right out there.
Perfect. Yeah, man. Like, oh man, who was I having? I had a conversation with a buddy of mine about the Japanese scene, and that, yeah, man, their lines are perfect, and they're like just the style of bikes that they put
Yeah,
out is awesome. And it's not like one guy; it's like the whole scene.
yeah.
Like, how do you guys
Nobody's got a
all?
shit bike.
Yeah, where's
Yeah,
the guy who's got like like he's
yeah,
trying,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you never
Totally.
see that guy.
No, no, never. No, they all look cool as fuck.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last time, but like it's got to be one of those things where there's a couple of people nailing it and everybody's just kind of like riding that vibe because
Yeah.
it's so hard to make, you know, that I've never really been able to like recreate that style. Like
No.
I've had
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
couple of bikes in here that could have gone that way, but it's like I just don't know. I don't know. Like you just see a picture of it, you don't know all the custom shit that's gone into it.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like making it look that way is a whole thing, and they're nailing it over there.
Yeah, man. No, it's. I'd love to go. What's that show called over there? There's a massive show. The people.
It's not the Moon Eyes show, is it?
I think is
It's
that
the
the
is it
one
the
they go.
that's the one they give out that prize at Born Free, like the
Yeah,
winner of Born Free. Yeah,
that's what I
it's
was
the
gonna
Moon
say.
Eyes.
Yeah,
I think it's the Moon Eyes show.
yeah. I'd like to go there. I'd like to.
That that would be cool. That
Yeah,
would be an experience, man.
yeah,
And you're planning a trip from the UK to Africa
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna do it on the Panhead.
on the Panhead.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
That's going to be a hell of a trip.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
How many countries do you have to go through to do that?
Um, well, from here, just I've got to go through two. So I've got to go through France, through Spain, and then cross at Gibraltar, and then pretty much you're in Africa. But it's like Northern Africa, so it's like
Right.
Morocco.
Have you been to any of the African, like, have you
You
been
know,
to the African continent at all?
just like northern, just to Morocco. Yeah,
Oh, right on.
yeah, yeah,
So you have an idea of what to expect
yeah.
in that area anyway.
I remember when we went to Morocco, someone offered to buy my mum for 50 camels. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Damn,
That's
dude.
like one of my only like you weren't expecting that.
I'm going to need at least 60 camels for my
Yeah.
mom, dude. Come on, bro.
But yeah, it
uh,
was yeah. I
yeah, no, I was not ready for the camel trade. That
yeah.
was, I would not have expected that, dude.
100% true.
Yeah. You know, talking about Mexico and like other countries and stuff, I think I had watched the podcast you did with that guy who traveled the world on his chopper.
Yep.
And I feel that's kind of how I feel about stuff is like we only get to see like the negative parts, like what is in the media or whatever, and all they're talking about is like, the cartels are on
Yeah.
every fucking street and stuff. So I'm sure that there's dangers and like things you need to avoid while you're there, but I imagine
Yeah.
it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah, totally. I know there's a British guy that did a kind of like a docu series, whatever, where it was called Walking the Nile, which he walked
Okay.
along the Nile, and he didn't die. Nobody kidnapped him. Do you know what? Actually, I'll never forget that fucking show. It was just on like it's like I don't know. It's like daytime TV, and he's walking along the Nile and stuff like that. And I remember this. I can't remember who he's called, but he had this like photographer come out because he was doing this crazy walk and whatever. The photographer got heat stroke, so that was a big thing, And they were like, "Oh, so we're keeping him in the tent, and we're gonna give him water. We're getting a helicopter to come out." And then the next scene, the guy who's walking the Nile, he's just on camera, like white face, and he's like, "So George just died." This fucking guy, yeah. He just goes out to like photograph this guy walking the Nile, and he fucking dies of heat stroke within 2 hours of being there.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some shit you don't think about until you watch that documentary.
Yeah,
Damn.
totally, yeah. Everyone else carries gas. I'll be carrying like shitloads of water.
Dude, I am not the kind of person who like would be good at that. Dude, I forget to put sunscreen on every time I ride, dude. And I just get like the worst burns on my nose and face.
Yeah.
I would totally forget to bring anything. I wouldn't be prepared. There'd be no way.
No. Yeah, no. Leanne, when I was packing to fly over there, she was like, have you got sunscreen? It's like, oh, fuck. She's like, luckily I bought you some. I'm like, fuck.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you do chopper trips. I mean, I know we talked about the fact that you don't have, like, you can't like chopper trip for like
Yeah.
long periods of time.
They're
But
usually about 25 minutes.
really, I always start off with the best of intentions. Anytime I go on a trip, like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna plan. I'm gonna like, pack my bag like a week ahead of time, and it never works out. I'm always like down here scrambling, trying to get a bike done before I leave. And then like when I pack, it's like, all right, throw my clothes in, load up, and go. And I never have anything.
Yeah. I packed for the trip that I didn't get to make the morning of. So I was getting the train at 4 p.m. So I was just like all week I was like, I'll get up at 8. I've got plenty of time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time, man. I always think I have more time than I do.
Mm.
And then how do you have you taken like multiple day trips out there?
Yeah. I usually
Right
I just wear the same shit for the whole ride. I don't change my underwear. I don't change my socks unless they're wet. I just go for it. Yeah.
Right.
Sleep in my sleeping bag with my boots on. It's pretty gross to be fair.
I mean, sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
Since I go for like a month at a time, I
Yeah.
try to I
Never
try to
don't change the
swap
underwear
that
once.
shit out, dude. I'm
Yeah. That
so I
just
told you
showed
I do.
how little our trips are. Just that. Sorry, carry on.
So I'm like, I coach wrestling or whatever, and
Yeah.
part of wrestling is like skin infections and stuff, and I'm not about that shit. So I try to shower all the time, and so I
What is it
have
that
to
you get? Is
change.
it like staph infection or something like that?
You can get, yeah, staph is like the
Yeah.
worst one, but there's like
Yeah.
other ones like ringworm,
Ringworm.
impetigo,
Yeah.
shit like that. And it's not harmful. It's just annoying as fuck.
Gross.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with that shit. So
Yeah.
I'm swapping socks and underwear every day. And then like, I'll swap my pants and my shirt like every 3 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to find like, because I have a month to do it, I have time to stop.
Yeah.
Like if I can't find any other place to do it, I'll stop at a laundromat and just do my clothes, there. But yeah, I pack up very little stuff. Like it's like one travel pack. I've got a sleeping bag, my hammock, and like 2 or 3 changes of clothes, and go out for a month.
Fuck. Yeah. Longest I've done is just like 3 days, and I'll just wear the same clothes and just make sure I don't masturbate.
Yeah, it'll ruin a pair of underwear real quick, dude. Hell yeah. Or socks, whatever your bag is. It's hard to ride when your socks are like rock hard, you can't do it.
Oh god.
Shifting becomes a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's have you ever been on like a trip? So 3 days is the longest?
Yeah,
man. There's something about
I'm coming over there. We're gonna do it.
We should. Yeah, dude. Solo trips or like one or two people riding with you are a blast.
That's
always
my
fun.
favorite. That's my favorite. Like
camping out, sitting by the campfire, just like cooking some shitty hot dog or something.
Yeah, I like small numbers. Like I love riding on my own. That's my favorite. But going out, I like small numbers because then like you can usually just both get on the same page, and you're not you don't have to worry about like why are those four pissed off, and it
right,
because I'm like a classic overthinker. I'm like analyzing everything all the time. I can't enjoy myself. So
self-aware.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah, I do that too. But for the most part, anytime I've been on a trip with like multiple people, really the only thing that kind of like bums me out is like everybody's got a schedule, and most people have to work. So you can't, even though I've got a month, they've only got like 2 weeks or whatever it may be. So most of the time towards the end of the trip, they have to split off and head out like a different direction, and I just keep going, or vice versa. But it's that's kind of the hardest part about traveling in groups for me, is like just kind of coordinating everything with everybody.
Yeah.
So solo camping trips, man, those are fun. And I was really scared to do it at first, just because there's nobody they have their positives and negatives, but
Yeah.
one, there's nobody else to help you out if you need something. Like if you break down and somebody needs to go to AutoZone to get you a part to get your bike
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
on the road, there's nobody there. You got
Yeah.
to walk or get a bike or hitch a ride or something.
Yeah.
Uh, but on the other end, you don't have to coordinate anything with anybody. You can just kind of like free flow. If you feel like taking a right turn, take a right turn and
Yeah.
go see what's at the end of that road,
That's what I like doing.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah.
And not planning like a specific route, just kind of having an idea of like, okay. And I like about 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll start pulling my phone out and looking for like a camping area or like a
Yeah.
national park, or if it's looking like it's gonna rain, maybe find a hotel or somewhere I can crash out.
What do you do like with deserts and fucking like fuel stops? Do you just fill up a load of fucking water bottles? Because you can fucking die out there.
Yeah, dude. You want to talk about so the last trip I was on my CB 750. We were coming back from California and we had to go through the desert in Arizona, and we were on back roads, and I was with three modern bikes. So a Fat Boy, a Milwaukee 8, and my brother's 97 Heritage Softail.
Right.
The Heritage Softail broke down and my brother had to get a U-Haul, right? So he had to get a U-Haul to get it to a shop. It wasn't something we could fix on the side of the road. So it's me, the Fat Boy, and this Milwaukee 8. And we're going through, we go through this little town, and I see the sign, right? I see the sign. It says, no gas the next 180 miles.
Fuck.
And I'm like, okay. So we pull into the gas station. I go in, I get a water bottle, I get a bottle of water, I fill up my tank, and we start heading out, and I run out of gas. I was like, okay, no big deal. I'll just we had planned. The plan was to just siphon some out of my buddy's tank because they've got 8-gallon tanks or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, we didn't get any gas at the gas station. I'm like, did you guys not see the fucking sign? And they're like, no. Yeah. 3 bikes all broke down, no gas at the same spot, dude. In the middle of the desert. There's nothing. There's not a gas station in sight. And I'm just like, we're screwed. What are we going to do? And nobody's coming. You can see for 4 or 5 miles. There's not a car in sight. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to die out here. We're just all chilling, trying to come up with a plan. We were trying
and there's no phone reception out there, no? No.
No, you can't get a hold of anybody, nothing. So I'm like, we're screwed.
Shit.
So my one buddy on the Milwaukee 8 has 50 miles or whatever. It's still 100 some miles to the next gas station, but he's like, I'm going to go as far as I can and I'll try to send back help. So he heads out. And and the guy on the Fat Boy are just chilling, right? We're just hanging out. And off in the distance, I see something coming. And I'm like, oh shit. We'll flag him down. And it takes 10 minutes for him to get there and see it's my brother in the U-Haul. And I'm like, thank God. Dude.
Oh my days.
We were on the same path. I don't know. He had left a while back and somehow got behind us. Right. So we loaded the bikes up in the back of the U-Haul and drove to the next town. That's how we got out of that situation. But
holy shit, that's so lucky.
It was about to be real hairy, man. We were about to start getting out blankets and start making cover because it's the middle of the day. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And you what we said we spoke about it before, and you were saying it's like riding in a hairdryer.
Yeah, that's the worst part. There's just no getting cool. So the first time that I had ever ridden to California, we were going into Las Vegas and we were going through the canyons, and we had specifically decided to ride at night because it was just too hot during the day. It's 120. And not only can we not take it, but the bikes are going to overheat,
Of course.
So we would leave at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were going to ride all night till the sun came up, and we're riding through the canyons, and yeah, man, it's like riding in a hairdryer. Like there's just no cooling off. You know, it doesn't matter how fast you go, dude. It's just like it's just hot air.
And where is that? What state's that in?
Las Vegas is in Nevada.
Yeah.
So like Nevada, Arizona,
yeah.
Parts of Texas, New Mexico. You know, that's all kind of deserty area. So it's really fucking beautiful out there.
Yeah.
You know, as you're riding and you get to see canyons and shit, but it is miserable in the summer months. Like I don't recommend doing it.
Yeah.
You know, from July, you know, through the rest of the summer. Like it's just not an option. Born Free is like that. You know, Born Free is in Southern California, and it's hot out there. And to get to the show, you have to go through the desert, and it's, you know, it's a bitch.
Those long roads, I always imagine kind of like, because you can see so far, and it must get to a point sometimes where you just feel like you're making no progress, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you see the mountain in the distance, and you're like, okay,
why is it not getting closer?
Yeah, and you're like 45 minutes, and you still see it, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? It's like a time warp.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to stay awake at, like, the one thing that I'm a night person, so I have no problem staying awake at night. And the one thing I didn't anticipate when we were riding through the desert at night is there's no scenery. So there's nothing to look at, you know, you can't see anything. All you see is your buddy's taillights, and like, you just start like zoning out, you know, you're you know, doing one of these, riding your chopper.
Yeah.
That was something I didn't anticipate at all. You know, riding at night, and it's just a straight ass road. So there's no turns, no nothing. You got to do something to kind of keep your brain engaged, or you're going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's another crazy thing about the desert. But if I could choose to not ride through the desert, I probably would. Like, I'd like to do it for a very short amount of time, see some cool scenery, and then get back on, you know, a normal heat cycle.
Quick shout out to this episode sponsor, Chop City Customs. Head over to Instagram right now. Follow them at chopcity_customs. I'm not joking. I am passionate about this saddlebag that they've sent me. It is the most durable, hard-wearing saddlebag I think I've ever seen. From the material to the fucking hardware. And not only is it fucking great quality, but it looks sick. 5, 10, 15 years of this thing strapped to your fucking hardtail or your sissy bar. It is only going to get better with age. Breathing in that fucking crust and that character, only going to look better in time to come, which that's exactly what I look for in a saddlebag, a tool roll. Speaking of fucking tool rolls, this thing has a fucking tool roll built in. It holds 3 liters. It holds your fucking gas can. Honest to God, yeah, I fucking love this thing. Discount code right now on screen. These guys ship worldwide for free. There is no excuse not to have one of these things. Head over to the website right now. Make sure you get one ordered. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Ride choppers are fucking die.
I think a lot of people who think like us, and most of the people that you've had on your podcast, seem to, like, we all kind of think very similar. I think we get into this shit because it's counterculture. Like, it's not
100%.
It's not acceptable. It's not something that the average person wants to do, or is like associates with being, you know, like a good time.
Yes.
You know, like tattooing is painful and it's for degenerates, and
you
know, why would you want to ride a hardtail chopper? Like, we have springs now, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why people like you and me get into that shit in the first place. And then it kind of becomes cool. And once it becomes cool and it's not counterculture anymore, it's like a weird, like, I still love it. I love choppers. I really do love choppers. I'm not into it because it's counterculture. It just happened to be counterculture at the time.
Yeah.
And now it's super acceptable and everybody's got them, which is dope. I like that, but it's also become an industry.
Yeah.
It's become, you know, it's not, it's mainstream now, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I like the one thing about the chopper thing that I love is like I got into tattooing to be a 1%er. You know, like I got into tattooing because it was like crazy. People who tattooed were crazy and they were scary. And I was like, yep, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. But now, you know, Karen, the fucking soccer mom, she's tattooed. Do you know what I mean? Like she's and she's heavily tattooed. Where I love, sorry, to get back to, but I love that Karen, the soccer mom, most likely isn't gonna start riding a fucking shovel head. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And that's not a woman thing either. You know, like there's Karen males. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're not gonna ride a fucking chopper. You know,
right.
That's the one thing that gives me like, yeah, I love it. You know.
Yeah. I've kind of, you know, they call it, I don't know if you guys call it hipsters. Are you familiar with the hipster term?
Yeah, totally.
You know, hipsters, I span the gamut on this. Like I really
all the hipsters listening are going to be like smiling now, like they're talking about me, my Red Wings.
Yeah, dude. And I really appreciate that people like it because it keeps people like me in business, you know, and
of course.
And you know, the more you can get it out there, the better. But at the same time, you have to find new ways to do things that other people don't want to do or can't do. And I think like riding these things cross country is one of those things that not everybody can do.
Yes.
Because they will break down and you have to know how to fix them yourself in order to ride something like that across the country. So that's kind of my new you know, that's the thing that I do that kind of I try to separate myself from just the regular rider.
Yeah. And I totally I've picked that up. Like I'm totally, since doing the podcast and speaking to American guys, I'm super inspired to get out there and just fucking ride. You know, I was always kind of about like the bike more than anything. I love riding, but like my focus was heavily on the bike, making the bike look how I want it to look, and you know, and all that. But since speaking to all you guys now, I'm like, nah, I just want to get out on my own. I want to just ride the fucking thing, you know.
Nothing's better than
makes me feel like a fraud, you know. Like I was like, fuck, I need to ride the fucking thing. I'm a fucking hipster.
Nothing is better than when you combine the two. You know, when you have the bike that you want, that looks exactly how you want it, and then you take it down the road and it performs like it's supposed to, or you know, it breaks down, but you know, you just deal with that stuff as it comes, and like making it to the destination and making it home on a bike that you love. There's nothing better than that, you know. And it doesn't even matter, like posting it on social media and getting all the positive affirmations from shit like that is fun to do, but it doesn't fucking matter. Like you're just as excited when you do it by yourself as you are to do it and then post about it, you know? There's nothing better than like your bike and your trip and you fucking made it.
That's quite a good segue into it because I wanted to speak about your social media.
Right on.
Because I mean, you're doing pretty well on TikTok.
TikTok is
pretty damn well. That's in that 150K.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
No, dude.
No,
it's you know, you got to take shit like that with a grain of salt. You know, most you know, when I was TikTok is like the ADHD. What did somebody tell me it was? Somebody said this, and it's the greatest comparison that I've ever come across. TikTok is just the dopamine roulette table. Like,
oh fuck,
yeah. It's not consistent. It's not. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like sometimes videos will take off. Sometimes people get popular for no reason. Like it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I try to keep that in the back of my head because, you know, I've seen a lot of people get like a big following and then get like real cocky about it. And it's just, so it's all a grain of salt, but it has afforded me a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise have. I've got a Harbor Freight sponsorship out of it, and
Awesome.
a work boot sponsor, and shit like that has been huge.
Yeah.
That's it's not, and I think a lot of people think about it as like, well, they're not giving you money, so it's kind of like a thing. But like, especially with Harbor Freight and work boots, like that's $150
Yeah, fucking right.
every 6 months that I don't have to spend anymore.
Yeah.
And Harbor Freight has tons of tools that I use every fucking day, and I don't have to buy those anymore. Like I can just call them up and be like, "Hey, I need this thing," and that's integral to maintaining a business and maintaining a successful business. When you don't have to buy every fucking small tool that you need on a whim. So that's the great thing about TikTok. But you know, it's like I said, it's a dopamine roulette table. It's just like you never know what's going to pop off.
Yeah.
You can't count on it in any way. It's not a good business model. Like, dude, it
Yeah.
is like the pay scale is so all over the place. Like sometimes videos do well and you get, a little bit of extra spending money, but like in the last 3 months, I think I've made like $20.
Right. Okay.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not
So
a
what's the most you've
sustainable
made?
business model. Uh, so when I was building this trike with my buddy,
Yeah.
like every video was doing like 50,000 views.
Right.
Um, so I think I made in 3 or 4 months, because that's how the payouts work. It was like $2,000,
Fucking right.
which is good. That's a good
Yeah.
model. But my buddy Rusty Van Ranch on TikTok. He's got 2.1 million or 2.2 million followers.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's making anywhere from like $800, $400 or $500 a month, to when we were doing that trike video and every video is doing like, 100,000 to 200,000 views for him.
Yeah.
He's making pretty decent money.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's just, but it's not sustainable. It's not something
Yeah.
you can like count on.
No,
It's
yeah,
like,
totally.
okay, cool. This month I can like splurge a little bit and go buy
Yeah.
some shit because I had a good TikTok month. But
I've been
mostly
trying to
I
get
just
on
use
it,
it.
but I struggle with it's funny. Before I got TikTok, I would get all these ideas. I'd be like, oh, that'd be good content. That'd be good. Now I've got TikTok, I'm like, I can't remember anything. I can't like I have no ideas. I've got and anything cool I'm doing, I'm like, I've forgotten to film it. And yeah.
Yeah, dude. The TikTok is TikTok is perfect for me. Like it's kind of the app that I was waiting for. Like Vine was really cool back in the day.
Yeah.
But like the way that I think, there's like I have three big influences in my life, and it's choppers, wrestling, and music.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to music all the time, trying to find new music. And when I hear a song that I like, my head just automatically creates a music video, right? And
Right. Okay.
TikTok is perfect for that because you
Yeah.
can literally put the song on and record your music video how you see it
Yeah.
in your head. And, it's the hardest part is remembering to fucking film
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
you're doing it. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, so many of those shots that I have in my TikTok are just like reset up.
Yeah.
Like fuck, I forgot to film that. I'm gonna place a
Totally.
1-inch bar in there and make a cut. Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much of it is that. But I obviously did make the part. I just didn't film me making the part. But yeah, TikTok's awesome for like really getting your stuff out there, especially if you have. I feel like TikTok works really well for two kinds of people, and that's people like me who just have like love to make videos. Like I like to
Yeah.
make like little short 3-minute videos like that, and people with really big personalities.
Yeah.
If you have a big personality, like if you can draw people in the
Yeah.
first 5 or 10 seconds, you'll probably do well on TikTok.
Right.
So it does well for that. And, I have a little bit of both of those. So it's kind of, it's really great for marketing. It's really
Yeah.
great for just getting your name out there and letting people know that you do this stuff. And, the amount of work that I've gotten from TikTok far surpasses the amount of money they've paid me. A lot of the, like that Sportster aluminum job that I just did, that was a guy from TikTok. Like he just saw that I do that shit.
What? So do they just DM you on TikTok and just?
I direct most everybody to Instagram because the TikTok messaging app sucks.
Right.
But yeah, most of those people message me through Instagram. I would say 50% of my work comes through TikTok and Instagram.
Holy shit.
The other 50% is, word of mouth and local people. I think every Springer that I've done has been a TikTok or Instagram follower.
Fuck. Awesome.
So
I love the voice that you do.
the standard American voice.
I love it. And my wife loves it as well.
Yeah, dude, it's I can't do it in front of people.
Yeah, like, I bet. Yeah, no, yeah, I would. Yeah.
Like my girlfriend makes fun of me all the time, dude. She calls it my TikTok voice.
Yeah. I was really scared I was going to bring it up and you were going to be like, what voice?
Yeah, dude, I tell people all the time, like, I think people see that because when I meet people face to face from TikTok, they're like, oh, you can see it in their face. Like they don't say anything, but most of you, they can see that like, oh, he's like a normal dude. Like he doesn't scream at motorcycles all day.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend will make fun of me all the time because, like, I've stopped doing videos around her too, because I'm so self-conscious of the way that you have to be, like I said, you got to have like a big personality. So you got to like amp everything up in the first like 5 or 10 seconds so that you get people to watch. So that's my TikTok voice. And I just can't do it in front of other people. I
love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing, especially when people are in the shop, So my buddy Rusty has seen it, and Rusty's cool with it because Rusty knows the whole game, he understands. So like, we'll just be working, like having, normal conversation, just like you and me are having. And I'm like, I pull my phone out and I'm like, this fucking thing, like I'm screaming at the phone. And he just sits back and lets me do it, laughs at me and shit.
So if anybody wants to follow you on TikTok, what's your name?
On TikTok, I am Duddy2855. And then on Instagram, it's ShovelPan69 on Instagram. Awesome. So, yeah, man, it's a fun place. It's a wild place.
Man, I was a little bit nervous having to do this again. I was like, fuck, is it gonna be natural? Is it gonna be, or is it gonna be, and I was so annoyed that I'd fucked up the first one. But we've just done it. We've just done it again. We've just gone a solid 2 hours just talking.
No shit.
Yeah.
Dude. Well, I told you last time, like, talking, nobody thinks about it until you run into a person who doesn't know how to like have a conversation, but talking is a legitimate skill. Like I am always appreciative of like podcasters and people who keep a conversation going. And I always try to be that person,
Yeah.
And it's so hard when you run into somebody who's just like answers the question and then there's nothing. Yeah. You have nothing to add after that. You're
pulling like, fucking teeth.
Man.
Yeah,
totally. Dude, pulling teeth. Or you have that moment of awkward silence where you're like, so yeah, the weather, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I have it where some people, and it's because they're nervous as well. So I totally get it. But so I'll say like, so your panhead build, how did that start? They'll be like, well, I got it off my grandfather, and then my boyfriend helped me build some of it.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, well,
and then they'll just look at me, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah. The other end of that though is like the person that just never stops talking. Have you ever run into those people?
Yeah.
Dude, I've got a buddy and I love him dearly, but there is no downtime. Like it's constant, and he's hilarious with it.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to just sit there and listen to him all day. But yeah, I run into those people a lot too, like people who just like boom,
Yeah,
story. Oh, that reminds me of this story. Boom, that reminds me of this story,
totally.
And they just
I've
keep
got a
going.
friend and he'll do that, and we literally we've had to start going, wait, let me say my side. And he'll
Right.
go, and he's like, oh, yeah, yeah, you know, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, go on, go on, go on. And then you'll say you'll be talking, they'll be like, and you'll be like, stop, let me finish speaking. And yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
okay, is it my go yet? But he's a
Yeah.
fucking great person. You know what I mean? He doesn't
Yeah,
mean it.
dude.
He's just it's just his energy. It's who he is.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with those people too. Like I love to just let people sit and tell me story.
Yeah.
I'm a very big like I love to hear people's experiences,
Yeah.
especially when it's interesting. Sometimes like, you hear about their fucking, like their new Honda Civic or whatever, you're like, I don't give
Yeah.
a shit.
Yeah.
But most of the time when I'm talking to somebody like that, it's usually a chopper person.
Yeah.
And so I just let them go, man. Like let them tell me story after story after story, and interject whenever they need to
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah,
You
totally.
know, yeah.
That's why I love doing this. Right, man. I'm gonna have to love you leaving, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you
Hell
coming
yeah!
on. Honestly.
Thanks for having me yet again.
Yeah, man. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah,
Nice one.
absolutely.
Nice one. Right, buddy. Have a
See
good
you
day at
later.
work. See you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.